And I hope everyone is excited and pumped up as I am. So I would like to introduce to you the host of this event, Mr. Nwankwo. So Nwankwo, he is a dynamic leader with over 23 years of experience in the oil and gas industry. He's known for his strategic leadership, operational excellence, and ability to manage high-impact operations. He's a multiple award winner, including the overall Best Employee Award in 2020, a testament to his results-driven approach and influence. Angie is a certified speaker, coach, youth facilitator, and DISC consultant with the Maxwell leadership team, where he equips individuals and teams through personal growth, values-based leaderships, and behavioral insights. He is also the co-founder of Learn to Lead Consult, which focuses on mindset transformation and leadership development. As a member of the Empowered Living Communities, a global network of entrepreneurial leaders, NG hosts a weekly live broadcast that reaches thousands of people worldwide. He also serves as a mindset coach, a DEI trainer, a volunteer with FIFA, CAF, and the Qatar Triathlon Federations. At his core, NG is committed to helping others lead with clarity, courage, and purpose, leaving a lasting impact wherever he goes. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me to warmly welcome our amazing host and coach, NG.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ami, for that heartful introduction. I welcome everyone to this mid-year reset. It's no coincidence that we are halfway through the year, where we have halftime adjustment. Halftime adjustment is real. It is a perfect time and opportunity for us to pause, reflect, and what? And reset our goals and mind. So this is why we are here. And I'm thrilled to be doing this with amazing people. I can see several people joining across the globe. We have people from Oman, Qatar, Nigeria, US, Georgia. Yeah, we have wonderful speakers also from UAE. And look, I want you to stay till the end of this event. You are going to have an amazing time. Just make sure you grab a paper, a book, whatever thing, and settle in for this transformation time. It's going to be exclusive transformation event. Okay? Let us know where you're joining us from. Please let us know where you are joining us from. And it's important. I'd like to know. I'd like to see several faces. Let us know where you're joining us from. If you can put in the chat box, you can use the chat box to be glad to know that you are joining us from. Okay. So without wasting time, let's just jump into it right now. Let's jump in. Halftime adjustment. Halftime adjustment. So our goal, myself and the speakers here, we have special speaker. Our goal is to give you action plan that will make you, make the second half better. In sports, we say the halftime isn't just a break, it is a chance to reevaluate, to adjust the game plan, and to gear up for the second half. In life, the same thing is applicable. So we face some halftime adjustments, reality versus possibility. Reality is where we are, and possibility is where we are supposed to be. Halftime reset or adjustment is that for us. So some of us has more than two halftime adjustment. Some just have one. Whether you are in the winning side or in the losing side, just know that this moment that we have here is a time to reset, and focus. This is your moment to reset with intention. A halftime moment can be pivotal moment to change in your life. Look at the halftime or the half year and assess what works or what have been working or what needs to be changed. What do you need to be changed? Necessary changes we need to make to create the difference. I know most of us love soccer, or you're in football, or you cricket. For my Indian friends that are here, imagine at halftime, the score is 12-0. The team that is winning or the team that is losing, they know that they are not in the right direction. Or maybe you're in a football game and the score is 4-0. The team that is winning, if they don't consolidate, what happened to them? I've seen games that people were winning 4-0. They come back at the halftime, and what happened? The other team equalized, and the game ends 5-4. So no matter the side you are, whether you're on the winning side or you're on the leading side, every halftime we have to make some adjustment. So let's unpack this goal setting principle. What is it? Let's unpack this goal setting to make the second half better. I said all this as part of the event of this mid-year reset. Remember, just remember, please, I want to see it on the chat. Nothing changed if nothing changed. So if you're here to grow, please type in the chat, I'm ready. If you're here to grow, type in the chat because this is your moment. Type in the chat, I'm ready. I can see that. Yeah, I can see that. Say, yeah. Oh, good, good. I can see that. Lovely. Okay, so let's unpack this. Goal setting. Goal setting is one of the most important skills to develop if you want to design your future. Growth don't happen by accident. It starts with vision and strive through intentional action. Our life doesn't get better by chance. I tell people this. What you do before at the end of this year will determine. So what we plan to do this evening, depending where you are, or in the morning, is to give you an action plan. So I want you to write something. Take a few seconds of your time and write. What do you want to achieve at the end of this year? This could be a long-term goal or a short-term goal. To help you, just consider this fact to help you on this goal that you want to take us some few moments to write. Consider this point. What do I want as a person or as a family or as a career person? What do you want to see or where do you want to go? Remember, at halftime adjustment, what it is, reality, this is where I am, and possibility is this is where I want to get to. To help you, I've said, consider where you want to go and what it is. Now, look at those lists that you have written. If you have written something, put a time frame on it. If you put any of your halftime review, any of your goal, put a time frame on it. Just maybe the goal now, you look at that, your list. If it's 1 year, you plan to do it. If it's 6 months, remember, if it's short term, it has to be within 6 months. Write near that goal that you have written, any of the word. If it's 5 years, you can write it. Okay, I'll just give us some few seconds to do that because this is an action plan to get 2025 better, the second half, and to finish strong as a people, as a nation, as a tribe, as a community, as life learners. Okay, if you have written that, just type yes, put the chat yes, yes, yes. Okay, good. Remember, goal setting is not just something that you do once. You know, earlier this year, we had a goal setting meeting where we talk about smart system, So you can go back to Learn to Lead YouTube channel. You can catch it up to refresh yourself. But this was diving into more detail. Goal setting is a continual process. Also, you must be consistently check your progress towards your goal. You don't want to fall behind on your goal, or worse, lose sight of those goals, those important goals that you have set for yourself. Remember what I said, the short-term goal and the long-term goal. Okay? Your short-term goals are those immediate plans, things you plan for this week, for next week, in the next 6 months. These are goals that are accomplished within a certain time, immediate. I call them, confidence builder, because this short-term goal helps you to build your confidence as you work hard, you burn your candle to the greater goal that you set, because every little win matters. So how you set it up is up to you. Break them down. If you have written them, take some time, take a minute, break them down by weeks or months. Set it up in whatever way, like I've said, you want. Every day, every week, try to check out one thing on your list that you have written. Okay? Just remember, those is your goal. It's not someone else. Sometimes on the long-term goal, if you checked, maybe in a week, in a month, you check something, celebrate yourself if you've done the long term. Little celebration is important. It is important that we celebrate every progress that we make, because we grow by two experiences. One, the joy of winning, and the other is what? The pain of losing, my friend. Hence, what does that mean to us? Putting yourself around people that will help you is so important. So we just don't go to the easy way where it is easy, because we go as a people that want to make a difference in your life where the expectations are high. That is how we grow. Remember, if it was easy, everyone would have done it. If it's easy, this goal setting. So write down one thing that you want to accomplish this week. And if you are led, you can share it in the chat. I want to see it. Share it in the chat. One thing that I want to say, hey, Coach Angie, I want to share this. I want to do this week. Put it in the chat. I've not seen anything yet. Okay, I can see that. Okay. Okay, I can see that. Yeah, put it in the chat there. What about the long-term goal? Long-term goal require clarity. Big goal require focus. I call focus, follow one course until success. So get clear what you want, why it matters to you, what it will take. Because without clarity, we drift with our goal. But with clarity, we accelerate on our goal. So let's make it visible, stay accountable to it. Let's go further. Goal achieving. How do you want to achieve the goal? What does it take to achieve your goal? The bigger the goal, the bigger the commitment that you need to make. So you have to understand, make sure that you understand what resources that is needed. If it's time, it has to be realistic. So if you commit to a high level, you can achieve it on a high level, because once you taste success, it will be very difficult to give up. So you see, while you are working on one goal, you must sometimes else be planning on another thing. So when you're working on one goal, you should have something on the planning stage, so that what happened to the Apollo astronauts will not happen to you. You may ask me, what happened to the astronomers? When they went to the moon and came back, they didn't know anything to do or anywhere to go. So what happened to most of them? They fell into depression, psychological problem. The reason for that was after having been to the moon, there was nowhere for them to go. The moon seems to be the aim for them. They finished. So they think they finished. But look at what happened to the next set of people that went. They had something planned out, something lined up, so that when they came back from the moon, they had bigger projects that they are lined up for themselves to accomplish. That way they enjoy their life. So the best is to wrap up one goal. You keep the other one in focus. I call it focus, like I said, follow one course until success. But you start right away. You start right away. In fact, you start right away. Don't linger too long on the table of success. When you have a goal, you achieve it, you plan, you don't solve. This is what, for some of us, that watch football, like I watch football, I think as a person, this is what actually happened to the PSG. They won Real Madrid, they won Bayern, they won several people. So who is Chelsea? They can't win. They celebrated the Real Madrid win. They were on the table of success for too long. And what happened? They lost the final. What matters? So you don't lose sight on your goal setting. You don't linger too long on the table of success. The only way to enjoy another meal is to be hungry. I like what Les Brown said. He said, you must be hungry. You have to be hungry for your goal, for your vision, that which you have said. So why do you want to achieve it? What is the goal that you have written down within the time frame? That goal, maybe personal goal, just write it. What is your personal goal? It can be to lose weight, to be decisive, to be an effective leader, to be a manager in your company, to start your own business. Consider maybe family goal or lifestyle goal. Now is another time I want you to do something. Describe each goal. Maybe not now. Maybe you can do it because I hope you're writing down something. The why? Because the process matters a lot. The process on writing your goal, on becoming what you want to do. So what that happens is that this process becomes the powerful motivator. Now you have an accountability partner. You can find some goals that you have written down earlier on today. When you do it at home, when you describe this your goal, you may find out that, look, this goal might not serve me. Remember, the goal is not cast in stone. You work it, you align it with your purpose and with the current thing. Just like when COVID happened, several people have goals to meet. But again, we found a way to hold meeting, to work virtually. And that is why we are having this meeting virtually, because we want to impact people, and people from United States, from Oman, from Nigeria, from Ghana, from Georgia, from UAE joining, because now we can reach everybody everywhere. Right. So it's important that you work the process. What do I mean by reset, reflect, and recommit? This point right here is what is to have some few goals that you truly believe in, that inspires you, that you are sold out to. When these goals that you are sold out to, what is the reason that you want to obtain them? Why do you want to obtain them? So you have to describe it. You have to write it down in your journal. And please, my friend, I call it my friend, please, when you write this journal, you can also, depending on where you write it, you can take it around, transfer it to a journal that you can carry around, that you can refer to easily, as the day goes by. It is essential to set time every week, every month to review your goal. How? Why? Why do I want to set that time? Because to rearrange, to redo. Remember, the point is to make the goal flexible to suit you, restructure them, add goals, remove some that doesn't serve you. Now I ask you a question. Is this goal still meaningful that you have written? So you have to check it. What needs to be adjusted? Who can support me in this my journey? We are here to support you. Okay, this is all about, it's not about pressure, it's about positioning yourself. Because why? You desire to finish strong, not getting stuck. Why do people abandon goal as we round up here so that we can have the other speakers to give us? Why do people abandon goal? Let's be honest. Life happens. Life happens to each and every one of us. When COVID happened, when things happen, life get busy. Motivation fades. Fear creeps in. That's
Yo,
normal. But giving up is not your
come
story.
check it now. I see any unnecessary mess.
This is
What I do that? I'm gonna be
this this is sorry for that. Please, you can kindly mute as you join. This is normal. I tell you, my friend. You know, life happens to each and every one. But giving up is not your story. This is a reminder that hope is not a strategy, it's an action. So revisit your goal, reignite your passion. That's why we have mentors, we have coach, we have speaker, we have people that can help you. And every of the speaker here can help you along the way. So everybody around the world, everybody hope that things will get better. Can you imagine? But remember that the future doesn't get better by hope. The future doesn't get better by hope. Recently, I shared with a group of people where I was speaking. It's a Christian community. I said, hope is not a strategy. I know some people must have been amazed, but I forgot to mention in that meeting because I know the Holy Scripture said that hope delayed make the heart sick. So if you delay on your vision, if you delay on your purpose, if you delay to grow, you become stunted. Most of all must have heard the saying that people who fail to plan are planning to fail. But for you, right now, taking out time, put yourself on the top few percent that want to grow. That's why you join here. That's why I'm happy to see a lot of my friends here. You know, you have become a few percent that want to grow. Work on yourself. Write this down. Don't miss it. Work on yourself more than you work on your job. Work on yourself more than you work on your job. Just a bonus observation I want to give in rounding up. A bonus, my suggestion as a person of faith, without dream or vision, we perish. Understanding that your goal, whatever they are, affect you all day long. It affects your handshake. It affects your attitude. It affects the way you dress. That is why goal setting is important. Recently, I asked a man, what was your goal? He told me it's just to scrape up a few dollars and pay his bill. That is not good, I'm saying, but that is a poor goal. It is certain, not inspiring. We in the Middle East, we don't just jump out on a Sunday morning, the first day of work, to say that I want to go and scrape a few to pay bills. Or maybe for my friend in Europe or in Africa on a Monday morning, it's just your goal is just to go and scrape up a few dollars and what? And pay your bill. Your goal, the point here is that your goal should be fun, challenging, rewarding, and they should allow you to grow. The major purpose of setting goal is to compel yourself to become the person that you are meant to be. The person that you are meant to be is more important as you go along the line. For example, the greatest value of becoming a millionaire is the skill, the knowledge, the discipline, the leadership quality that you acquire in becoming a millionaire. It is the experience you acquired in planning, in developing stage, such as courage, commitment, willpower that attracts the $1 million. That is why 90% of people that win lottery, or more than 90% of people that win lottery, ends up being broke because they never acquired the knowledge. They never planned for it. They never had any development. So stay, nothing beats them up along the way. Like I said, you may have heard that knowledge is power, but that is not entirely true. It is what? Knowledge is power. When you take action with what you know, that is when knowledge becomes power. So it's about doing something with what you know. What will you do with all that you have heard this evening? What will you do? How do you intend to grow? Some might just jump in, oh, I want a coach. I tell people, getting a coach or a mentor, or I want to take a DISC assessment to know myself better and become better, to know the area that I want to grow. Remember, you have to position yourself in the right way and in the right environment. Your dream, my friend, for everyone that joined here, your dream is valid, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to this event. Thank you for showing up for your growth, this growth day, this mindset review. So now that you have heard, reset, refocus, and make 2025 a better year. So, what's your next move? What's your next move? Let's carry this energy forward. Please, if any word I have spoken this evening or this morning, depending where you are, or this noonday, depending where you're connected, resonate with you, let us know in the chat. See you at the top, because the bottom, the ground is crowded. Thank you so much. Dr. Ami, back to you.
Wow. Wow. If you have not felt goosebumps with just this intro, then honestly, this is a very power-packed introduction. There's just so many things that Mr. Angie has said that I really hope is bringing value to everyone that is here on this call. So the most important one for me that I'm going to hold on to is reset, reflect, and recommit. And I think this is the main idea with this call. So I'm very happy to introduce our first speaker. Our first speaker is Genesis Eakes. She's a strategic advisor and consultant to CEOs, government leaders, and civic innovators navigating high-stakes transformation. She's the founder of Genesis Eakes International and the creator of the Bridge Leadership Model, a framework that helps leaders to build trust, align teams, and drive lasting change. With over 25 years of experience in leadership development and strategy, Genesis is widely respected for her practical wisdom, relational depth, and her ability to catalyze high-performing cultures from the inside out. So I am very happy and very interested and excited to welcome Genesis Eakes.
Thank you so much, Dr. Amy. A beautiful introduction. It's always interesting when you're sitting on this end and someone is listing off some of your accomplishments. And all I heard out of all of that is over 25 years of experience, which means I'm very old, and maybe we should adjust that portion. I became a grandmother recently, so my granddaughter is now 1 year old. And so I'm feeling a bit of those 25 years years of experience, but hopefully I'm going to be able to bring something of value to each of you today. Angie, thank you so much, my friend, for the invitation and the opportunity to be able to speak to your audience today. It is a pleasure and an honor to be with you all. I'm always fascinated when I'm part of a collective like this. So, of course, we heard from our host, NG. There's another speaker that's going to be coming after me today. And it's always one of those moments that's fascinating to me because we don't meet ahead of time. We don't necessarily collaborate and say, I'm going to talk about this, you talk about this, you talk about this. And yet somehow it all comes together in this beautiful way. NG gave us the topic. He said, hey, we're going to hit this mid-year reset. What would you like to bring to the table? What would you like to bring that's of value? And I love how NG set the table for us today. And he started talking immediately about a sports analogy. And that's exactly where I started with my approach to this half year as well. And I was thinking, yes, this is like a mid-year, it's a half, to me, it's a halftime analysis. He already talked about it and set the stage inside. Referred to several different sports, and it doesn't matter which sport you are participating in or have watched before, you know that halftime adjustments are critical to success. Regardless of whether you are coming into this halftime reset with lots of momentum and progress and saying, yes, I'm right where I want to be. This is exactly where I intended to be. And you've got great momentum going towards the end of the year. Or maybe you're coming into this mid-year reset, this halftime, and you're going, oh my goodness, I feel like I'm behind. I feel like I don't know where I'm going. I feel like I've lost something along the way. I've lost momentum. I'm not where I want to be. Either way, this is your moment. This is your critical point. This is the pivotal time that you get to make the assessment and make adjustments to move forward. Because NG already told us you can be at the top and have a winning score coming into halftime and end up losing the game, or you can have a losing score and end up winning the game based on those halftime adjustments. So I just want to continue a little bit of that theme as we are walking through today and look at it from a little bit different perspective. Of course, NG was talking about goal setting and helping us to see where we can, how important goals are in our life. But I want to take a little bit of a look here, and let me see if I can find the right button to share my screen. One moment. There we go. I think we can see that. Oh, hold on. I think I got a different option there. I think this is better. All right. Can I see a thumbs up from someone if you can see my screen? Make sure I've got that correctly. All right. Thank you so much. Okay, so when we're talking about this mid-year reset, it's like we talked about already, it's this moment to pause. And Angie referenced before, we have a similar mentor in John Maxwell. I've had the opportunity and the privilege to travel with him all around the world. And if you're not familiar with who he is, John Maxwell is considered the #1 leadership expert in the world. And he wrote this really important book, at least important in my life, called The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. So if you have not read that book yet, it is a fantastic read and it's a great way for you to take some action immediately that can help you make some progress towards some goals. But in his book, the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, John has his very first law is called the law of intentionality. And in his law of intentionality, he says that growth doesn't just happen. And I think that's an important place to start. If we're going to start and like really evaluate and say, okay, where do I need to reset? Where do I need to check in? Maybe I've been a little bit on autopilot. Maybe I've just been thinking if I set this goal, I set a goal at the beginning of the year and that's fantastic. Yay. But then we start recognizing, oh my goodness, my goal is still there and nothing has changed because growth doesn't just happen. So if we want to grow, we've got to be able to be intentional about the actions that we are taking. Angie was building on that already and saying, what actions are you going to take? Hopefully, you've already written down some actions that you would like to take. But I want to clarify something that's really important because I messed this up earlier in my life. And so, if I can help you in any way, help you shortcut a process and say, don't make the mistakes that I've made, that's what I want to do. Because sometimes we can confuse activity or even goal accomplishment with growth. And then we wonder why we're not getting the results we're looking for. So let me explain it this way. So when I was a child, my mother took me to a class with a group of students and of other children, and we were there to learn how to swim. Now, I was about 3 years old at the time, but I can still remember the experience. It's interesting what things stick with you and what things you can't remember. But this is an experience that I remember vividly still. Now, of course, the purpose of this class, I have a good mom, and she was saying, okay, we want to help you become a swimmer. So the teacher had all kinds of games that she would use to help us learn the skills that we needed to become swimmers. Now, once we had learned some basic skills, this teacher decided, she's like, okay, that's fantastic. These kids are progressing. And she really wanted us to focus in on how to go underwater. And because it's not something that we naturally want to do. If you've ever had this experience, maybe with your own children, or if you remember the experience yourself, trying to figure out how to lead with your head to go underwater. And it's a linking skill to learn how to dive, to take a dive into a pool. I know Angie mentioned, I think part of his skill set is triathlons. I have a son, my youngest son is a triathlete, and it's always impressive to me to watch the swimming abilities that triathletes have and other swimmers. And you'll understand why I say that here in a moment. So, as we are trying to learn these skills of leading with your head to go under the water, the teacher had these rings. You can kind of see a picture of what those rings might have looked like. And they were weighted rings that would sink to the bottom of the pool. Now, of course, this is a shallow pool, so all of us can stand up without being submerged underwater. And the teacher would, told us that we were going to play a game. Now, the game was to collect as many rings as possible. And whoever collected the most rings was going to win the game. So, being the competitive person that I am, I said, fine, I can do this. Even in my younger 3-year-old self, I was very competitive and was like, okay. So, while all of the other students were ducking their heads under the water and searching around and trying to find rings with their hands, I would walk around the pool and pick them up with my feet, transfer them to my hands, and then was able to collect more rings. So at the end of the time period, I had collected the most rings, and clearly I was very proud of myself. I was like, look at all the rings I have. Much to the teacher's dismay, she was not happy with this behavior. She was not amused, and she kept trying to get me to figure out how to dunk my head underwater to pick up the rings with my hands. But in my little mind, I couldn't see the point. Why? Because I had made the byproduct the goal. This is an important distinction. The goal was supposed to be learning the skill. Right? Catch that for a moment. The skill was about diving your head underwater and being able to stay submerged underwater for a period of time that was going to help me become a better swimmer. If I was doing that well, I would be able to collect more rings. The ring collection was a byproduct. However, I made the wrong thing the goal. I stopped the learning because I picked the wrong goal. My growth was actually stunted. I wasn't able to learn that next skill when I was fine in that particular class, but the next year, the next summer, when there's a more advanced class that came around, I was not fully prepared for that. And I didn't really progress that well in my swimming. And oddly enough, I won't tell you how many years later, but all of these years later, I am still not that great. I can swim, I can float. There's certain things that I can do in the water. I'm not going to drown, but I'm not good at diving because I never learned that skill set. I made the byproduct the goal. And so we've got to be careful about being distracted by byproducts. Sometimes if we start chasing after, sometimes we chase after an income, we chase after some different external factors, thinking that that's going to help us get what we want, and only to find out that it is not getting us the result in the end. And it is actually limiting where we're trying to go. So, because growth doesn't just happen, it's really important that we have the intentional goals in the right place. So, let me ask you a halftime check-in question. Where are you substituting activity or short-term wins for long-term progress? Take a moment and just think about this. Where are you substituting, right? I was substituting the win and that instant gratification of getting the ring for long-term progress. Now, if you were to ask me the same question several years ago, I'm not sure that I could have accurately assessed myself. Now, the reason is because I didn't understand a really crucial fact, that being always informs doing. You see, oftentimes we're setting our intentions based on external factors, and we're hoping that it's going to bring the results that we're looking for, and then we're just disappointed because it only works for a short period of time, and then we're right back where we started. So the easiest way for me to explain this is through the 5 levels of change or transformation. This is a graphic here you can see on this graphic. It just kind of maps personal change or transformation. And oftentimes we are taught, if you are anything like me, maybe it's because I grew up in the Western world and in the US in particular, and in our culture here, it is very much production driven. And so we are looking at, from the time we are born, we are being measured and compared and cultivated for production and growth. And we're looking at all of these external factors, and we're managing things from the outside in instead of from the inside out. So let me walk you through some of these transformational levels so you can understand a little bit more about what I'm talking about. Now, that first level, or the most external level of change, is environment. This is where we're probably assessing ourselves and we're thinking about, well, if I was in a different environment or different circumstances, then I would be different. Has anyone ever thought to themselves, I just need a different job? The job is the problem. If I had a different boss, if I had a different company, if I lived in a different place, my city doesn't have this. These are all these external things that are saying it's the environment's fault that I am the way that I am. So when we focus on in this layer, we're focusing on changing jobs, finding new relationships, moving to new locations, and it might feel like progress in the short term, but what we find out is that it's only geography. And very quickly, we start noticing the exact same patterns are showing up again. And then we're thinking, oh, maybe it's this whole industry. I switched jobs, so maybe the industry is the problem. But it's kind of like changing pools or changing classes didn't help me learn to dive. Why? Because I had set in some mental patterns that I didn't change. So it didn't matter what pool or class I was in, changing the environment didn't change that outcome for me. I was still looking for the same shortcut. So the next layer of change is the behavioral level. So this behavioral level is where we focus on changing actions or habits. Now, this is important. This is kind of helpful. And sometimes we see this. Has anybody ever set New Year's resolutions? That's very common. I think around the world, it's a common practice that every time you encounter a new year or a new season, there's like, okay, I'm gonna make these resolutions or these promises that I'm going to something. And it's usually about something about changing an action. Maybe there's something that I want to start doing. Maybe it's a bad habit that I want to stop doing. I think the most common one, I did a Google search at one point in time, and it was like the most common New Year's resolution is one for stopping it. The number one thing that people want to stop is to stop smoking. So maybe you've had that in your past or know people that have made that resolution. The number one thing that people want to start is some sort of health and wellness routine, whether it's an exercise routine or better eating habits or something like that. But what we find out is that this has a limitation because our willpower can't sustain the change if it's competing with deeper beliefs or desires. There ends up being this conflict and this disconnect, and we end up warring within ourselves. Maybe you have felt like that before, have ever felt that tug of war on the inside of you. There's many times when I have made the commitment to myself or my family, even had accountability partners and said, okay, I am going to eat more healthy. I know that there are things that I am eating too much of, and I need to limit that. And so I want to be more healthy and make better choices. And then, so I feel very confident. That's my willpower, very confident to make those decisions and those choices in the moment. And then maybe I'm sitting at a dinner with colleagues or maybe with family, and someone brings out this beautiful dessert. And it is my favorite dessert. And all of the sudden, all of the willpower that I had inside of me that says, I'm going to eat healthy. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to make good choices and eat healthy things. And now this dessert that is laden with all kinds of calories and fat and sugars and all of these things that I know are not great for me, are tempting me. And I have this battle on the inside. And this battle on the inside, I can only do for so long because psychologists have found out that our willpower is like a muscle that will fatigue over time. And so if I am constantly in this state of competing with my internal desires and wishes, my willpower will fatigue out. And then I'm like, well, I just want one bite. And then one bite leads to 10 bites, or then I've eaten the whole cake or the whole dessert, whatever it happens to be. So I think you understand where I'm coming from because willpower will fatigue out if we have competing priorities or desires. This might also be something like I want to spend more time with my family, but I also want to work out and have a healthy lifestyle. So, how do I do these things at the same time? If you've ever had those moments, something has to win. This is what we're talking about on this level of behaviors, if we're only looking at making changes at the behavior level. The next level, though, is the capabilities level. So you're going, okay, I didn't do a great job with my New Year's resolution. I wanted to have this healthy lifestyle. I'm not doing a great job at that. Maybe it's because I don't have the right skills. Maybe I need a different workout. I need a different methodology. I need something. I've got to work on my skills or my knowledge base. I just need to understand more. Has anybody ever thought that? I have fallen into the capabilities trap more times than I can count. I just need to acquire more certifications, more degrees, more things. But if you notice, we have more people that are showing up on YouTube and TikTok and all kinds of places that are talking about things that they've never actually done before. Because we can acquire all kinds of knowledge and be a theorist and never actually put anything into practice. Because capabilities are one thing, and knowledge is important, and we do need to acquire knowledge. But if we are only looking at acquiring the skills and the information, but we're not actually applying it, because chances are we're not going to apply it if we don't feel like we are capable or we don't feel like we are worthy. So here's an example of something that happened recently. With my mom, actually. So my mom had a knee replacement surgery about a year ago, and in this knee replacement surgery, she did her PT, her physical therapy. She's doing really well, and has made all kinds of progress. She's learned the right things to do, but now she's ready to take the next step. And she had a conversation with me recently and said, "Hey, I'd like to go to a gym." Because I've done everything that I can at my home, walking and doing some different things to get stronger and more capable. But she's like, you know what? I feel like I need help to go to a gym. She's like, I'm scared to go to a gym, which is kind of an interesting thing because she's been to gyms many times before in her life and she's done all kinds of exercise regimes and all kinds of things. But this is what's happening below the surface. It's the belief level because she has the capability, she has the knowledge of what to do, but she's got this limiting belief that's keeping her from moving forward. Now, beliefs are our thought patterns and our mental models. Now, this is another thing that psychologists will tell us is that it is actually impossible for us as humans to consistently behave contrary to what we believe. So we might be able to say the correct things, like my mom would tell me. This is the conversation that we had. Sorry, Mom, if you're listening. Hopefully, you don't mind me sharing the story. But we had this conversation where she was saying, I know what to do, but deep down inside, she didn't believe that she was capable. She was scared that somewhere she wasn't able. And she started saying words like, I feel like I need to be in shape before I can go to the gym, which is kind of funny because it doesn't even make logical sense. Because don't you go to the gym? You go to the facility so you can become in shape. You can develop your muscles. You can be this, what you're looking for. But yet, this belief inside of her was keeping her from taking the next step because it was limiting where she could go. So we had to talk through this limiting belief and work through some of that. Now, beliefs are really powerful. And a lot of times we have moved a lot in our culture and being able to help people understand transformation and how we can grow and to do different things. And this is where people will start exchanging. If you've ever done things like saying positive or empowering statements to yourself, this is what you're doing. You're actually exchanging limiting beliefs for positive or more empowering ones. And this is where you're really trying to retrain, reconnect those neural pathways in your brain and trying to really help yourself figure out how to believe the right things about you so that you can do what you want to do. This is a powerful place to be, but it's still very fragile because it's not based on a solid identity, chances are it's going to fall apart. At some point in time, there will be a hurdle that you can't get through. And this is what takes us to our most inner part of transformation and personal growth or change. This is that identity level. Identity is how you see yourself. It's a word that kind of gets used for a lot of different things right now. And so I just want to give a little bit of clarity to what I mean when I am using this word of identity. It's not a team name. Okay, it's not a label that I give myself. So I happen to be female, but female is not my identity. I happen to live in Texas in the US, and most people in this area, if you are a fan of American football, then you probably know something about the Dallas Cowboys. That's in my hometown here. And most people in this area would say, I am a Dallas Cowboys fan. I'm or whatever team that you like. And we can take on an identity or make an identity statement about that and say, this is who I am. It's actually not your identity. That's a team name. That's a label. Even things like mom, grandmother, employee, business owner, different titles that you might have. Those are not identities. Identity is the deepest place of who you are. It's the essence of who you are at the core level. And the way that we see ourselves matters because there is a person. I believe that each and every one of us was created on purpose for a purpose. Again, my mentor John Maxwell says that there are two great days in a person's life. The first one is the day that they are born. The second one is the day they figure out why. And I love this statement because there's this beautiful thing. It really speaks directly to that identity piece. It doesn't mean identity is like I want to be a millionaire. I may want to be a millionaire, but millionaire is not an identity. Okay. There's something that is deeper than that. There's an essence, there's a core of who you are that has always been there. And when we start aligning with that identity of who you were created to be at the core of who you are, then we start being able to align all of the other things because we are no longer at war within ourselves. So you start looking at that graph a little bit differently and you start seeing, you're like, oh my goodness, when I know who I am, then I know then the beliefs naturally follow. And then I start lining up the capabilities and I start looking at the different habits that I want to form, the behaviors that need to go with it, and then the environment naturally follows. So if we can fix the identity level, when we can find out that, we literally transform from the inside out and you get the whole thing. The more that we try to manage our world from the outside in, more often than not, we end up in conflict with ourselves and we don't end up getting the results that we want. And we end up living just lives of frustration or even quiet desperation and feeling like there's something wrong with me. I don't fit. I don't know why I don't fit. I keep trying, but I don't fit in this world. And then the more that we start having these thoughts of like, I don't fit, I don't belong, I'm not enough, I can't. The more that we have these thoughts and these feelings, the more that we start acting them out because it goes into our belief systems, which drives our capabilities. Our habits start coming there, and we can end up self-sabotaging. So think about the example I just gave with my mom. Because of in that subconscious level, she was thinking somewhere, she pulled up this belief, this part of her identity that I'm out of shape. I'm out of shape. And so because I'm out of shape, I can't go to a gym. I can't do these things. And it starts driving all of these other decision makers, and she can't figure out why. It wasn't until we started pulling back the layers and making those things that were more unconscious to her, making it more aware so that we could go after them and fix the core belief to drive and get the results that she was really looking for. Because here's what I know. Who you are, who you were created to be, is your gift to the world. And when you understand that gift and what your gift is to the world, it will naturally pull you into circumstances and situations where you will come alive and you are fully alive and fully free to be who you are meant to be. And we need you. Our world needs you to be able to give the gift of who you are in your workplace, in your family. Maybe it's the next invention that you're the person that is supposed to invent the thing that moves our world forward. Maybe you're the person that is meant to bring a transformational movement to your family that shifts the paradigm of your entire family. But that's the gift that you get to bring. So let me ask you another halftime check-in question. But this time, instead of asking you about where you're substituting activity or even those short-term wins for long-term progress, I want you to go a little bit deeper. And I want you to ask yourself, do you know who you were created to be? And if so, are your activities in alignment with who you were created to be? If not, I highly recommend that you reach out You can find me on all the social media platforms. I'm sure NG has some follow-up documents and ways that you can get in touch with us, because I would love to go on this journey with you and help you discover who you were meant to be and how you can show up and give yourself as the best gift to align yourself to everything else around you. So, Angie, this is the end of the presentation, our halftime check-in. Dr. Amy, I'm going to turn the time back to you. Hopefully, this has served you all well, just giving you some things to think about today and assess where you are and where you would like to be. Thank you.
Wow, like it keeps getting better. Um, I really hope everyone has taken in all of these pearls, because this is really, really wonderful stuff. Who you are, who you are created to be, is your gift to the world. I think a thesis could be written on just this statement because it's so profound. And this is really amazing stuff. Thank you so much, Genesis. I'm sure that we're all walking away with a whole lot of information, and we're becoming empowered to really make this mid-year reset and hopefully finish 2025 strong. So I'm very excited to introduce our next speaker. Our next speaker is Ms. Sadika Kebbi. She's the founder and the CEO of Kuhn Consultancy. She holds a master's degree in comparative literature. She's a certified trainer, speaker, coach, teacher, DISC behavioral consultant, parenting consultant, and youth leadership trainer on the John C. Maxwell leadership team. She's also a global priority specialist and a values-based leadership expert. In addition, she's a meta coach, NLP practitioner, design thinking trainer, two-time TEDx speaker, best-selling author, certified emotional fitness coach, and a member of the National Storytelling Network in the United States. Talk about one person wearing so many hats. So it is my pleasure to welcome Sadika Kebbi.
Thank you, Dr. Amy, for the introduction. Thank you so much. And I would like to extend my thanks to NG for having me on his platform. And thank you for NG and Genesis for also setting the ground for my talk. And I would like to start with a question. And I would like every single one of you to jot down what you think in the chat box. And I would like to read a few of your answers. Why do you think the cheetah is considered to be a great hunter? Would like to hear from you. Why do you think the cheetah is considered to be a great hunter? Speed, timing. Thank you, Richard. Okay, well, I'm going to be sharing with you. Research has proven that the cheetah can reach, yes, 100 kilometers per hour and maybe more. But the secret is in his agility and flexibility. So in 1 second, if his prey changes direction, in 1 second from running 100 kilometers per hour, he can reduce it to 64 kilometers per hour and shift his direction in just 1 second. The secret of great leaders is the agility and flexibility of the mindset. It is actually mind shifting. And what I call is also, I call it mind flossing. Our brain is exactly like a closet. If I keep on stacking clothes, imagine I'm still stacking my clothes since I was born until today. What will happen to my brain? Definitely it will collapse, exactly like the closet. So also the secret of great leadership is to learn, unlearn, and relearn. And this is what helps us shift from goals to growth. And I'm going to be sharing my screen with you. So, how do we shift from goals to growth? The first thing is the personal development shift. How do I improve? And I would like to adopt Genesis on what she said. It's your identity. And I'm going to share with you this statement. Purpose precedes existence. What do you think this means? Purpose precedes existence. Meaning, God Almighty created my purpose, then He created me to fulfill it. But unfortunately, upon our birth, our parents have their own purpose and their own goals and their own journey already written. When God creates my purpose at the beginning, He plants unique seeds within me and within each one of you. And those unique seeds, no one else but you have it. And in order to discover those seeds, you really need to dig and to pull them out. And I want to give you a metaphor here. Imagine me or any of you having a bunch of seeds in your hand. And not being a farmer, I wouldn't know which seeds is going to give me apple or which seed is going to give me oranges or so on or so forth until I plant it in the right soil. And this is the environment, as Genesis mentioned. I nurture it, I water it until it grows and give me that fruit. The identity of the seed lies in its fruit, and the identity of a human being lies in his or her purpose. But again, unfortunately, those seeds are buried, starting with parents, society, teachers, you name it. Why? Because the focus is on our weaknesses and they neglect our strength. All the investment goes into the weaknesses instead of going into our strength. So, in order to discover who you are, you need to really remove that sand, loads of sands that have buried your inborn seeds. So be who you are to become the human you were created to be. What you're going to see on the slides is by my mentor, John Maxwell, from his book Leadership, which is an excellent book to read about mind shifting, because nowadays fast is faster and forward is shorter. If I don't have the agility of shifting my mindset as a leader, I really will fall behind. So it's about change or die. How do we do that? I will share with you a story. A few years back, I worked for a waste management company, an international one, back home in Lebanon. And one day, the leader of that company walks in and he says, I need you to create an English skills course for 3 months to be delivered to 54 CEOs in my company. And I was really puzzled. I mean, as the head of the training department at the time, I was, English skills, how come? I mean, why not leadership? Why not communication? Why not diversity and inclusion? And he was like, I been wandering around the company, and I've noticed from the body language of these 54 CEOs who have been with me on board for more than 30 years, and they all are aged around 45 to 60 years old. I've noticed that they have fear from the new generation that is coming on board. And in order to bridge that gap, that age gap, and to bridge the skills gap, because the younger generation is technologically very well equipped, while the elder generation has experience. And in order for my company to move forward in the future, I need experience plus skills. So I have called the American University of Beirut and I asked them to set a full program over 1 year. And I'm taking those 54 CEOs back to university to graduate after 1 year with all the technological skills that they need in order to have a communication between the eldest generation in the company and the younger generation in the company. So when I have as a leader a growth oriented culture in the company, it's about development, values development, stretching the capacity and capability of every single individual in the company, and serving and emphasizing the students and targeting growth. And this is how I move forward into the future. So it is about shifting, and this is also John's words, from a life of success to a life of significance. From I to we. A life of success is all about me, my achievements, my wants, my needs. But a life of significance, it's about others and serving others. And it's about we grow together. We move forward together in order to achieve our goals and our growth. Because when I grow, eventually I'm going to be meeting my goals all along the way. And it's also, there is a huge difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. A person who embraces, or a leader who embraces a growth mindset, he believes that every single person has potential. Every single person can be developed and can grow into the full potential that God already has given, that those seeds can be watered and nurtured until they give fruit. Again, I'll take you to that place, the waste management place. And one day also, we had a tea boy in the office who was brought in by his father when he was only 14, because his father needed an extra income and he had to move him away from his schooling and from his academic journey. But that emotionally intelligent leader that we had noticed that this child had great potential. And he brings him in one day for a one-on-one meeting into his office. And he made a deal with him. And he told him, I will take you back to school, even to university, until you get to PhD. But the deal is, and you can go to night schooling, of course, because your dad needs the support, he needs the income. So you'll be working during the day, and nighttime you would go for your growth journey. But he told him also, I have one condition. You will not fail one single year, or else I will stop your tuition fees. And a few years later, this T-boy was a CEO in the company. When you have a growth mindset, you focus on the individual, you focus on your team, you grow with every single person on your team. And whatever feedback or whatever, and feedback, by the way, is very important when it comes to growing as well. We hear everybody say that feedback makes, practice makes perfect. But practice without feedback makes permanent. And we keep on repeating the same mistakes because there is no awareness. So self-awareness comes into play. We need to know our weaknesses. We need to know our strength. We need to know our triggers in order to embrace the growth mindset and be willing to learn and grow and be willing to learn, unlearn, and relearn. In order to have this growth mindset or obtain or develop it, first of all, you need to embrace change. We know that when change is introduced or is initiated, we know that 25% of our team members or 25% of people will jump on that train immediately without any second thought. Then we have 50% who will be hesitant. And then we will have 25 who will be resistant. So put your energy on those 50% to bring them along with you. And then when you have the 75% ready for the change, the 25% will hop on the train as well. Then having a teachable spirit, which is really very important. And it's about also learning, unlearning, and relearning. It's a life process. And if we have now in front of us a monitor and we have our heartbeats measured, we would see that up and down line going. And when we die, it's a straight line. So when we're alive, we are succeeding and falling forward, as John names it. There is no failure in life. And when you fall forward, this is where growth happens. Because when you are down there, you reflect, you analyze, you come up with solutions, you come up with different plans, you come up with different strategies. Then we move up again, and then we fall again. This is life. And if you're not alive, you're living in a straight line, there is no growth happening. Your heart is beating, but actually you're dead in many ways. And then when learning is your target or growth is your target, fear or failure are just part of it. You just embrace it. It's normal. We all have our fears. We all have faced our challenges. But the most important thing is how we can benefit from those. And then also humility. Humility is essential because a leader, if you have this big ego, it will stand in your way. Do you know what ego stands for? Anyone knows? EGO. If you know, just drop it in the chat. Well, I'm going to share something with you now. Ego is E is for edging, G is for God, O is for out of your life. When we edge God out of your life, it's ego that takes over. It's your pride that takes over. It's me that takes over. It's all about me. So this is very important. Humility, being humble, because you want to treat people as the golden rule in leadership says, treat people the way you want to be treated. If your ego stands in the way, there is no way you're going to be that humble person. Then 6, believe in yourself. Definitely. How do I believe in myself? First of all, self-awareness. And this is emotional intelligence. Again, it plays a huge role here. So self-awareness, once I know my strength, I know my weaknesses, I know my fears, I know my triggers, and I can pinpoint them, I can identify them, I can give them a name. Some people tell me, okay, I'm angry. I've given it a name, but it's not working. Why? Because there are layers of emotions buried. I remember when I was 5 years old and my mom not forgot, she didn't forget, but for me at the time, I thought she forgot about me. She was 45 minutes late to pick me up. But within those 45 minutes, as a 5-year-old child, I felt abandoned. I felt like mom completely forgot about me. Later on, I knew that my grandmother was rushed to hospital and there was a great excuse for her being late. But this emotion was in my subconscious and it was stored. Later, when my partner for the first time was late to pick me up, and it was during the civil war in Lebanon, and there was danger, my amygdala was completely hijacked. I had an amygdala hijack, and I reacted violently when he came up, when he picked me up. And I was so angry. And then I made a pause and I started using the NLP tools, going back to the timeline, we call it. And I discovered that at some point I had this abandonment feeling that is triggering my anger. So when I discover all these, I gain self confidence, self esteem, and self worth because these three are totally different. And when I have them, I become self confident and I believe in myself because I know who I am. And here I would like also to tell you Dr. Amy introduced me according to what I am, to the certifications, to the awards, to you name it. But who I am a human being in the making. And I am a human being on a learning journey to learn how to become human. We're born under the label of human, but I believe we are on a journey to grow into being human. And then embrace layered learning. Learning is your lifelong journey. I always say it's from the grip to the grave, it never stops. And always, goals are very important because they help you picture one piece at a time. We need that. But this big picture, keep it in front of you because your road might change at some point. You have a journey, you have goals that you want to meet, but at a certain point you might meet a challenge or something might happen. As Angie mentioned, life happens. Life happens. What do I do when life happens? As a leader, I should overcome that. I just change my journey. I can also amend my goals along the way. But the big picture is there. The big picture is what leads you to growth. And the big picture is what leads you to shift your focus from goals to growth. And I invite you to do that. And I invite you also to be you. Thank you. And the floor is back to you, Dr. Amy.
Wow, this is powerful. This is very, very powerful. And I know that everyone here on this call has walked away with so much self-awareness, so much insight, and so learn, unlearn, and relearn. This is very, very beautiful. Thank you so much for
You're welcome.
this, Ms. Sadika. This is amazing. So we have had our two guest speakers, and I will call on Mr. NG if he wants to say something at this juncture.
So thank you, everyone that have stayed to the end. Before we go, I just want to give us just three shift for a halftime adjustment. In conclusion, with everything we have said, amazing. I want to just appreciate our facilitator and moderator, Dr. Amy. Thank you so much. You're doing amazing. To my speaker, my fellow John Maxwell team member and executive member, I am so grateful. See, it's important to be in the right environment. If you want to grow, if you want to strive, you have to be in the right environment. Grow matter. You've read this, their link are already posted on the chat. Please follow them up on social media if you want to. Remember, growth is a continual process. It's not just a one-day thing. Our link, our chat is there. If you want for Dick's consultant, if you want to know better, I encourage you to take this assessment. What will Dick's help you? It will help you to know yourself and grow yourself. So that is what this assessment will help you. I see a lot of my friends that are here, and I acknowledge Coach Tion, and I also acknowledge Coach Grace from Ghana. I see several people. What are we going to learn so far? If you have a question, please drop it on the chat. It's important. If you have a question, we'll get back to you. You can get back to the speaker. So, in conclusion, in closing, three shifts for halftime adjustment. Number one shift is shift from ambition to assignment. In the beginning of the game, it is all about ambition and goal, like we have said. The goal is not the main. We are first human before we want the purpose. So shift from goal to what? You shift from ambition to assignment. I like what Genesis says. He says, what are you called to do? What are we called to do? Ambition is what you are called to do, what you want to do. But your assignment is about who you are. What are you to the world? Who have you been called? What is your purpose to this? One of our speakers said something that I love so much. He said, in the beginning, two great days you are the day you're born and the day you discover that you are born. I threw this on a Twitter challenge recently. When is the 2 days? Number two, adjustment that we have to make is you shift from doing to developing. You said success is what when for yourself, significance is for others. Personal growth is not enough. Just thank you so much. Thank you. And the number three that we have to do is shift from an assessor to an insider, from being performing to actually being in the game. Don't be a fan of growth. Don't just be here that you came for your personal growth and leave it. Remember, what you wrote down is what is important. If it was easy, everyone would have done it. So I'd like to thank everyone and cheers to your growth for taking our time to be with us this evening. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you once more. Thank you. Dr. Amy, over to you.
Thank you so much, Mr. NG, and thank you to our wonderful, wonderful guest speakers, Ms. Sadika, Ms. Genesis. This has been amazing. I wonder, do we have time to take questions now, or?
We just want to take a group photograph. So if you can on your camera, we want to take a picture. It's been an amazing time to remember this experience. So if you can on your camera, I see a lot of my friends that joined. I'm so glad to see. I see so many people. Thank you so much. Wonderful. So my friends, growth is important. Okay, here we go. If you can, we're still waiting for some, yeah? Good. Thank you so much. Thank you, Phil. Feel free to contact them, follow our speakers online. Amazing time. We have several people here. Thank you. I see my friends, family members. Good. Thank you, Dr. Ami. Thank you, Sadiki. Thank you, Genesis. It's been a pleasure having you all. Oh, some people are still on it. Thank you so much. Please, if you have a question, drop it on the chat. If you want to reach out, we can. On this note, thank you, thank you, thank you.